Hey, what you say, Glimmer? What you say, Andrew? Yeah, radio doing the Succeed Festival. Here, fade and add one from the deck to your hand. Your opponent's turn, set one attraction trap from your deck. It can be activated this turn. Oh. Monster you control, face up monster your opponent controls, equipped with this card. Negate its effects until the end of this turn. Your opponent changes the equipment. Wow. Wow. The only exceed monster I can summon is a rank 1. That's it. I build the deck kind of different. Crap, I came off the card. Alright, I guess we'll do this. Let him spend that. The only real exceed that I summon is the Utopia. Right here. This Utopia here. I actually supposed to go look to see something, you know. I had to check it out later. Let's do this. But yeah, that's the only exceed monster that I summon. Everything else is just to piss and annoy my opponent. I could. It would just be me putting them in a deck and then finding every other compatible card that could work with them to either make it easier to add to the hand or summon them to the field, and then something to abuse their effects. Now, what all cards I would have at my disposal to be able to do so, I am not sure at the moment, because there are a lot of new cards in the game that I am unaware of and haven't gotten to even read. So I can't say for sure that undoubtedly, you know, it's something crazy, but for sure I can make something happen. Only one, actually. I am only using one. Oh, wow. Wow. Looks like I gotta deal with Zodiacs. Oh boy. Yeah, just one. The deck is a mixture of cards. It's really to throw my opponent off so that they can't read exactly what I'm doing. And it makes it really harder for them to anticipate what cards I'm actually playing. That's the good part about mixed decks, when you can actually get your ratios right. Like, it makes it hard for your opponent to try to figure out your end game, and that's what you actually want. So that it can cause them to misplay their cards, saying or thinking like, alright, yeah, this right here is going to be a conundrum or trouble, let me negate this now. And then, you know, at the end of the day, they actually don't know that that was a free bait. Some kind of monkey. Oh wow. Once per turn. Oh wow. Alright, since he wants to do that. Oh wow, that had that effect. I think that's when it's overlay materials, because that isn't his original effect. And I can't even display the cards on the side. Oh, there we go. When your opponent activates a oh wow, I should have just popped that right off the bat. Alright. Go ahead. You really don't have to worry if you don't have the decks. They give you pre-prep decks even though they're garbage, and then you can edit them from there. But yeah, like if you don't have a synchro deck, they're gonna give you one. I'm gonna play my personal synchro deck, but first I got to generate a couple of ultra rares to be able to replay it again. Oh boy. Rico Future, trouble. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. Let's check this. Once per turn, your opponent activates a monster effect, dash material, negate the activation if you do. Okay. Okay. I think we have a really good idea. Let's do this. Okay. Uh, relinquish, relinquish is a nasty deck. I kid you not, especially when you're ready of the appropriate cards to like equip a monster or a copy of a monster your opponent already has in play just to negate its effect. Especially if they play in like one of those Lava Golem and Eldritch Golden Lord. Like you get a copy of both of them on and it's like GG. Or any main key card that your opponent would have to use to combo off. Oh, you have to add another amazement card from his deck. There's on trap card. Ah, yeah. Yep, once you have, especially, I try to remember which monster it is. Once you have it in hand, it just allows you to add a monster that's face up on the field to him as an equipped card, as if it was equipped with his effect. So that's really nasty. What ability does this zodiac give? During either player's turn when your opponent activates a spell card or effect. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's the name. I didn't want to call the name wrong. This is not. If I were my opponent, I would have not allowed me to see the top 3 cards of my deck and then arrange them in any order. That's like, you don't want your opponent to have that kind of potential, because now I know the next 3 cards I'm drawing, and I set it up so that I can try to get or bait out all 3 of those Draco effects. The main effect that he should have negated was me being able to see the top 3 cards of my deck. That way I would have to gamble on when I banish him if the top deck of my card is actually a trap card. I don't understand my opponent sometimes. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's because my IQ is a little higher than average, but and on top of that, Draco only has a once per turn negate effect on monster effects. Alright, if we do that, we can leave it just like that. Yeah, Millennium. Oh, you spelled it million. Oh, yeah, I know what you meant. Arrow blade. What ability does he give them? Oh, piercing damage. Wow. Oh, wow. That's it. That's the way. Then Draco can take him. Go ahead. Any day now with Draco. Any day now. You would want to take him. Thank you. Yes, they are. I only use one in this though. I only use one. Thank you. That's what we was looking for. Now, the real fun could begin. Huh. Exactly, like it's irrelevant. Like you could read the plays ahead of time based off the monsters they have on the field, then you just use your cards appropriately. Oh yeah. All right. Oh, wow. Now that's interesting. That really is. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, we're gonna do that. Oh wow, so that sounds like you playing behind the 8 ball, Safari. Don't worry, it's Dryden as like 3. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Let's force with the last negate. This right here, this is where it gets crucial. Now, let's watch us riddle off his Dryden's effects. And it's all going down in the draw phase. First things up, let's try to destroy the Dryden so we sure that he activate the first effect. He really doesn't have no choice or he loses his trap negate. And he doesn't want that, so he's gonna have to spend. Just in case you were wondering why I gave him my second time Lord, you're about to find out. And the thing is, what's be so surprising is that my opponent actually take the baits. I don't understand it. Like, you know your opponent knows you have Draco on the field, it has a negate, you're gonna summon a monster and intentionally attack knowing that Draco is gonna take it? Come on. Let's go Dryden. That's what we were looking for, the Moxie. That's what we was looking for, either Moxie or Ash. We really was looking for that. We really was. And we're gonna keep going. Dryden has one more trap negate. No, 2 more. We're not gonna stop there. We're gonna bait out the last one. And I'm sure my opponent can hear me. And that's the funny part. And he has to stop this. He doesn't stop this. That's why I gave him my second time Lord. Oh, that's game. There we go. Ain't rocket science. And if he had negated it, I just would have gone trap trick, set another just desserts and burn him for the 25. That would have been duel. Either way, it was irrelevant. Yeah. I also run the Ojama Trio, because remember now, this is an Exceed event. I run Ojama Trio so I could limit my opponent to only being able to conduct 2 Exceed summons. And I would clog 3 of the monster zones. So marks you can overlay would be 2 normal monsters, and then you have to put that Exceed monster in the extra monster zone, then in order for you to make a second one. So I use the tokens to clog the field to reduce them from Exceed summoning, because you can only really utilize those tokens for Link, Synchro, and Fusion plays, because this is an Exceed event. You can't overlay with the tokens, so I place them inside the deck as well, and it just complements Just Desserts, ensuring that I would be able to burn for at least 15 with the Just Desserts. And the deck is excellent at going first. Plus, it's not easy to get around the deck. Like, the only thing better than this would be if I could have utilized Chain Strike on the pot, and then this would be Chain Burn. And then I guess I'll show you guys how you turn off if your opponent has Lightning Storm. That's interesting. I have that, and I have that. Wow. Don't need multiple copies then. Let's just go with this guy. Echo Emma. Radia just getting duels in the Exceed Festival. I mean, I've been over the 20k medals to finish. I'm just still dueling off air. Oh wow, that's actually almost kind of creative, but like I said, if you know what kind of event it is, you want to build a deck that can counter the event stipulation. Gonna show you what I mean right now. During the draw phase. Alright, now I get to trigger this card, which puts tokens face up on their side of the field, so evenly match becomes irrelevant. Lightning Storm has been turned off because they control face-up tokens, and it leaves them with only 2 normal monster zones to conduct 1 Exceed summon. But the danger, Safari, I ran into someone who tried that. That didn't turn out too well. They summoned Danger Bigfoot, and it went downhill from there. They took way too much. Like, the stronger the deck is that faces this deck, the quicker you lose, because you're going to take more damage, because a decent amount of the card effects that I have in here works by the monster's attack points that my opponent summons. Oh, Sangyan. Wow. That's interesting. Negative. I'll take that. But yeah, the stronger the deck that faces this deck, the quicker it loses. The weaker and slower the deck, the almost... I mean, depending on the hand I pick up, I can still kill the opponent. But it just takes longer. But the stronger my opponent, the more aggressive my opponent duels as well, the quicker they lose. Because, like, when you see I start comboing off with certain cards, it's, like, irrelevant after that. Yeah, go ahead. You can have a turn. And it's just using and timing your effects. Like, in the last duel, like, I called every single shot and just forced my opponent to huff two, or they lose, or two. That's what you want. You want to be able to be in control. You want to be able to tell your opponent, Hold on, what the hell does that do? Millennium. I want to read that effect. Send one Divine Beast monster from your hand to the graveyard. Add one Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Wow, what a way to get Monster Reborn from your deck to your hand. You can send this face-up card to the graveyard this turn. Special summon Winged Dragon of Ra from your graveyard with Monster Reborn, ignoring it. Wow. During the end phase of the turn, you must send the Winged Dragon of Ra you control to the graveyard. Special summon by Monster Reborn. Oh, it's a way to special summon Ra through Monster Reborn. Wow, that is crazy. Wow. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I won't stop you. So, like, if you run in multiple copies of Ra like he is, you can just send it, get Monster Reborn, and just bring it right back and just try to assault the opponent. Hey, what do you say, Daniels? Monster Reborn, wow. I wonder how much the toss point 0 is. Yeah, 0. Now, if they had an effect where he could have gained his life points for attack points, that would have been really cool for Ra. Yeah, I paid a little 1,000. Oh, wow. That's suicidal. Ooh, yeah, you can take 300 every time you do that. Keep going. Oh, he was trying to make space. What's this card? I want to read that. Guardian Slime. We want to read that effect. If you take battle damage, hold on. If you take battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from the hand. During damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can make this card gain defense equal to that. Oh. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you could add one spell or trap card from your deck that specifically... Oh, that's it. Oh, he wants to make a rank 10. Alright, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Oh, wow. Hold on, I want to read that. This effect says during the main phase, immediately you contribute, summon one Divine Beast. Oh, till the end of your turn. After you can only activate one card or effect. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that, Jack. I supposed to actually put the deck. I need to do that. Put the deck list up for that Quasar deck and start working on version 2 of that. No Black Spear, no. It just looks that way, but it isn't. You cannot play the... Oh, wow. Sphere mode. You cannot actually play the... What's it called? Chain Strikes. You cannot play the Chain Strikes. And you cannot play the Pot to banish your extra deck. They made sure that you don't just make a deck, put a bunch of Exceed monsters, and then just banish them for cost. You cannot banish them. So no, this is not chain burn. This is just burn. That's all this is. Burn, baby, burn. So we're looking at about a 4K Ra coming to the field to, you know, slap us around. There's Ash. Annoying. Oh boy. Puts token in attack position for what reason, I don't know. Destroys Jack. Alright, triggers Jack. Okay, that's the sort of the top 3 cards of my deck. This is the kind of power you don't want your opponent to have. Because this effect is just... Effects like that are too good. Okay, let's do this, him in that order. And then we're going to immediately trigger Jack, and he should Ash in response. Because if he doesn't Ash in response, he automatically loses the duel. And I know my opponent can hear me. That's the crazy... What the hell did he activate? Hold on. If you control a monster whose original Winged Dragon of Ra... Oh, wow. That is crazy. crazy. He committed suicide. Alright, since he wants to do that, he didn't chain the Ash. Let's do that. And I'm not activating anything else. That's Duel. It's called Bad Luck Blast. Yep. That's all. I told you, the more aggressive my opponent is and the stronger the monsters they summon, the quicker they lose. Very quick. And I still had 2 poison of the old man, so I could have burned for 16 as well as dimensional wall. So he would have taken his 4k as damage on top of, well, the life points that he had gained, he would have taken that. It's irrelevant. I told you the deck is designed for those really aggressive players. Yes, life decks that pay cost are horrible against burn decks. The best trap deck in the game is a burn deck, and it's chain burn. There is no trap based deck better than chain burn, hands down. The only trap deck that I can think about that can actually give chain burn a run for its money is Peleos. That's the only trap deck that can give that a run, and Peleos still falls short because Peleos has to go first and has to ensure that they pick up their frog engine. If they don't and get that totally on board, and I dueled against it and I still won because all it was like beta. No, I do not play Nurse Burn. And I do have a duel for you guys with this deck versus Nurse Burn to see who could have burned the quickest. And it came down to timing your burn effects. That's what it came down to between Nurse Burn versus my burn. The timing of the effects and the cards that you're utilizing for your burn. I have trap cards that trigger against hand traps to neutralize the effect and hit for 2k. Well, you guys saw the Bad Luck Blast. My opponent summons a monster, me and them take half of that monster's original attack, well, the current attack. I put tokens on their board since it's an exceed event. They can't link them away, they can't synchro with them, they can't fuse with them. Just Desserts, what's it, Secret Barrel, and it's one more trap card. Really good. And it works in tandem well with the deck, and synergy getting cards back to my hand just to keep regurgitating more trap cards is really good. Like, you guys will see it in action. I'm just trying to get to 40k medals now because I'm over 30. I'm just trying to get to 40k to meet my quota for the day. Then tomorrow I'm just trying to end the event with averaging 10k medals a day. That's what I'm trying to average, 10k medals a day. I completed the 20k challenge in 2 days. I literally off the same average, so I decided just to continue at that same rate. Oh, my opponent is playing Unchained. That's actually kind of fortunate because you guys get to see the real effects of my cards when they get chained and popped at the same time. It's really nasty, really. Alright, that's the start of something beautiful. Okay. Oh wow. Dabna was saying I should go along the lines of getting him, and the very first card that flips over is him. I cannot argue. I cannot argue. Now, this is like the shield. Like, you summon him, your opponent is gonna have to find a way to negate his effect because he's just like a wall. Or if they can make like an infinity or like a monster or have an effect to spin him back or something like that, they're gonna have to have that, or he just blocks. Or they can pay off their life points and then lose the duel immediately, because like decks that, like I told you, pay cost are horrible against my, like, my deck is their worst nightmare. hands down. All right, let's see what we could ruffle up. Oh wow, that is beyond sexy. That really is. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're gonna set this because this gets us anything we want, and then set this. But we could use that for a trigger. We could use that for a trigger. Worst case scenario, yeah, let's do that just in case. We could let that go. It's irrelevant from here. As soon as the turn starts, it should be duel. Go ahead, enjoy your draw phase. Enjoy it. Alright, first things first. Go 1, 2, and 3. There we go. We are all set up to win during the draw phase. Unless you have Karibo, the ultimate magical nullifying lord, there's nothing that's going to save him. Everything cool, Trini? What's going on? I think this one gets a really good effect. Or you can chain. Let's do this first, so we could force another effect. Yes. But first you would have to be playing that, and then secondly you would need to go first, and then thirdly I have a contingency for that. Let's go this since he triggers that, and then we're gonna go. Aye, that's nasty. That is nasty. This. I think that card pops. So what we're gonna use for a contingency. Alright, we're gonna activate this. Yeah, you would need to open with it, set it, and then pray that I don't open up with my spells to burn you and the Time Lord. Then you can actually have a chance at winning. Let's utilize... No. I need something that he could pop so he can suffer for it. Alright, this works. Set that. And that should be game. Worst case scenario, if he could have somehow nullified all that damage, I set the next secret blast so that, because he's playing Unchained, if he pops it, he automatically loses. If he doesn't, he gets burned and he still loses. That's the kind of scenarios you want to put your opponent in. You want to force their hand. And you can't be so reliant just on the Royal Decree. Because like I said, in my Synchro deck, I have 3 junk synchrons and 7 other ways to add them in my hand, which is virtually 10 junk synchrons, and I couldn't open up with 1. So imagine you playing just 3 copies of a card and have no real access to getting the card from deck to hand. Oh, listen to me, Safari. You wouldn't believe how quick if I pick up the 3 just desserts, a Ojama trio, and any other burn card, you automatically lose the moment you draw if you don't have an effect to stop you from taking damage. You can get OTK'd with this. Everything else is like, if you don't pick up that hand, it just causes your opponent to like play into whatever it is you're doing, because like they have to try to figure out exactly what all cards you have in the deck. Like I tell you, like I made sure that whatever my opponent could potentially be playing, I have an answer to. That's what you want. All right, let's start off with no. Let's do this. I'd only get 2 in exchange, eh? That wouldn't be bad though, because I actually want him to go to the grave, and then I could always trigger that later, so I can get an additional extension. Plus, I get to see the top 3 cards of my deck, so we're gonna go with that. And then we're just gonna go here. Let's get 2 more. See what we get. Oh, my opponent Moxie. Wow. I'm scared. Alright, so that's what we got. Alright, so we're gonna throw that up. We're gonna throw that up. We could, you know, we really could, but we won't. We're actually gonna let that go to the grave, because we want that effect now. So this sets me up for my following turn, being able to know exactly what I'm gonna draw next. Wow, what a next turn draw. So we're gonna place 3 of those. This is the last one I want to see, so we are gonna want to go something like this, and then that, worst case scenario. Then we can always speed up. So in about 3 turns, yeah, on the 3rd turn I would get a fresh draw. So during the draw phase, we want to turn off stuff like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched and all those cards that could potentially do a whole lot of damage to the deck. See, once you go trio, they put 3 tokens. If they try to go evenly counts as 1. The 3 tokens also count as 1. So that would count as 4. So my 4 face downs get to remain. Andy, you are 150% correct. This game is awesome. Yes, because why not? And we can set that. Now, it forces my opponent to play outs like Twisters and Cyclone. And when they do play outs like Twisters, like I told you, you guys get to see what happens when they get burned for double the effect damage from my traps when they get destroyed. Because you can chain, trigger the original effect, and then it gets popped, and then they have to take additional effect damage. So like, even if I set a back row of 5, especially if it's like the ones that on destruction, okay, he can do that, that are on destruction pop, no, that are on destruction, they burn, like my opponent's going to take a massive amount of burn damage regardless. Then he's going to add, which we don't mind. We want him to put 5 monsters on board. That's how you maximize. We need to see actually what he's trying to summon. Andy, don't feel bad. You have me by about 10 years. I'm 32, you're 42, and I don't know about all my money gear into this game, but as I obtain gems and I unlock cards, and if I do have the cash to splurge, then I would spend it on getting a couple extra gems just to have cards, eating, making sure my power bills and utilities are paid, making sure that the wife and the children are straight, and then I can go from there. That's what I call life. That's when life kicks in. Trini, you cannot go wrong with using Raid Raptors. You cannot go wrong with using Black Wings. You cannot go wrong with using Lunar Lights. All three of those decks have the same capabilities of going into really good Exceed monsters from the extra deck and tier 0. All three of them tier 0 because they can make those exact same plays that can threaten an opponent's board at any given time. Let's go. Let's see. Like I told you, it's about triggering and timing effects. We're gonna go with this first. Let's go this one because he's a level 5. It's an Exceed event. He may try to make Infinity. That's why I play that one. That's why I play that specific trap card as a burn, because it owes a monster body on board. Then we're gonna go with the Just Desserts because they have 5 monsters on board now. And then on top of that, we're just gonna add some bad luck to the equation. Yeah, we go with this one. Oh boy. I wouldn't be telling my wife that. There we go. Those life points look really sexy now. I really love what we have done with the place. I really love it. It looks sexy. Oh no, he ended his turn. Oh. Which reminds me that I know the next 2 cards that I would draw. Alright, let's do this. And then we'll be able, if he can make Infinity, we can always bait that effect out. It's irrelevant at this point. Oh wow, this is gonna hurt, and I don't mean me. Okay. Me as well. I am currently playing on PS4. Oh, I probably triggered too late. Alright. Yeah, we knew that already. Alright, we're just gonna put that little bad boy there. And that should be game. Oh, it's really simple. This is one of the best trap cards that you can use to force your opponent to take damage. What happened is Magical Cylinder, it has to target a monster in order to negate the attack. So if the monster cannot be targeted, then you up the creek without a paddle. Because then if it's, see, that's another thing, a monster that's unaffected by card effects. I'm trying to figure out, or trying to reason if Magical Cylinder would still work. But undoubtedly, Dimension Wall, all it does is whatever damage you're supposed to take, your opponent takes it. Like, it's a non-targeting effect. It doesn't affect the monster, it affects the player. Like, Magical Cylinder affects the monster. So, if a monster is unaffected by card effects, okay, yeah, my reasoning would be correct. So let's say Ultimate Falcon is on board and you played Magical Cylinder, it's not going to negate Ultimate Falcon's effect because attack, because Ultimate Falcon is unaffected by other card effects, because it has to target the monster to negate its attack and inflict the damage to your opponent as damage. Whereas Dimension Wall, all it is whatever damage you would take, your opponent takes. So it's a better trap card. That's why I am not playing Magical Cylinder. I do not play Magical Cylinder. And if I made a burn deck, Magical Cylinder would not be a card I placed in it. Hands down. It just would not be a card. You have too many cards running around unaffected or cannot be targeted by, and that's troublesome. You want effects that you are sure that can go off. Because I think it's Chaos Marks, right? Chaos Marks cannot be destroyed or targeted by card effects, meaning that Magical Cylinder cannot hit your opponent for that 4K. Whereas with Dimension Wall, Chaos Mark swings, he takes his own damage. That's what you want. You want the most optimal cards to be effective against your opponent. Alright, let's see how we're going to start this one off. Bang, bing, bang, boom, bam. Alright, let's give our opponent something to sweat about. We're going to start off with this. Drop a little bit of hot sauce here. Sprinkle a little bit of sugar. And squeeze in a whole lot of ketchup. And that ends my turn. Alright, we have to start off by turning off things like Lightning Storm and Evenly Match. Sorry, but that's just how sweet the deck is. It really is. Like I said, some situations I may end up in. I've been in duels where my opponent board wiped my field twice, and I talked about a full set of 5-card back row and still came back, regurgitated my advantage, and still burned them for game. That's how crazy it is. When you utilize and time your cards right, it's like. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh at its finest. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't. Like, I always tell players not to overcommit. You only play as much as you need, and then you just keep everything else in the trunk for later. If you overcommit and your opponent board wipes you, you are up the creek without a paddle. You have to have a legitimate reasoning why you are committing so many of your resources at a single time. You really only want to commit everything you have if in a scenario where, alright, if you pass turn, your opponent is automatically going to kill you. In a scenario like that, you're going to have to commit so you can set something up so that you can prevent your opponent from killing you the following turn. That's the only time you really want to do that, or prevent your opponent from setting up an advantage that you wouldn't be able to get over. Other than that, you don't overcommit. Always play only as much as you need, or only as much is required of you to play. Alright, my opponent said 1 and pass. Like I said, we don't need to overcommit. This is all we're going to do right here, and just wait for our opponent. Pass turn. And like I said, the more aggressive my opponent is and the stronger the monsters they summon, the quicker they lose the duel. The duel goes by really, really quick in a single turn. Like, they just keep getting slapped left, right, and center. You just say a punch, punch, punch. Oh, that's duel. And you probably still have like 2 or 3 more chains to go that can still, you know, inflict damage. Like I told you, those 3 tokens, they are more powerful than you think. And I'm only playing the tokens simply because this is an exceed event. If this was under normal dueling conditions, I would only place those tokens on the board during the draw phase, just to turn off like the Evenly and the Lightning Storm. If not, then I would use it during the end phase, because you don't want to give your opponent tokens to be able to link with synchro with or fuse with. You don't want to give your opponent that kind of resource. One time my opponent gave me 3 Ojama tokens. That turned into IP Mask Arena and ultimately led to the Borrowed Sword for an OTK. So, like I said, because I know the event is an Exceed event, I'm taking advantage of that. Literally am. Like I said, they only have 2 monster slot zones to be able to summon 2 monsters to conduct an Exceed summon. It forces them to put it in the extra monster zone and utilize the next 2 zones again to attempt another Exceed summon, which can potentially have up to 6 monsters on their board, is what I want, and a lot of cards in hand and on the field that they can't use. And then that's when the massive damage starts to kick in, and then it's like, wow. Oh, well, I mean, if you're only playing for fun, you know, play to your heart's content. I literally play for fun, but it still is a competitive aspect of trying to outplay my opponent and make my opponent look really silly at the same time. Like, it's like a back and forward thing. Like, I know my opponent would be playing X, Y, and Z, and then I start calling their moves. And like how my mic is on, they can hear me. So I call their moves, right? As I call their moves, how to put it? I'm like the pharaoh to them. Like, I tell them the best move to make, and when they don't make it, I guarantee you they lose the duel, hands down. Okay, we're gonna activate this. And see, this card gives me an option. So like, if there was somewhere or some way where I took too much damage, I can just reboost my life points if need be. But we're gonna hit our opponent for 800 first. Just a light jab, light jabs. You have to work it in, you see? You don't want to go for the knockout too quick. Light jabs. Keep working that jab. Just keep working the jab. Then when you're ready to go for the knockout, you flip everything over. If you see all 5 cards in my back row flip over, that equates to Exodia. See, now, with the cards piling up in my opponent's hand, if they want to retain their resources, they're going to have to set them in the back row. When the secret barrel triggers, they're going to have to take 200 points of damage for every monster they control, which should be 1200 for the max of 6. The entire back row, which is another 1000, and the 6 cards in their hand, which is another 1200, which is over 3k in damage. So they can pile up their resources, and it's, you know, no, this is not chain burn. This is just burn. Just burn, baby, burn. That's all this is. Not chain burn, not nurse burn. Just strategic burn. The cards in the deck, the burn cards, they're used to counter hand traps such as Ash, Moxie. So, like, when I do go Ojama tokens, like, go Ojama Trio to put tokens, they might want to go Moxie to get a +1. I have a trap card to turn off the hand traps and hit them for 2k. Then if they have massive amount of monsters on boards, that's where Just Desserts kicked in. If they have a really strong monster on board, that's where Bad Luck Blast and Ring of Destruction kicks in. Bad Luck Blast, half of their attack we both take. Ring of Destruction, so I can out a monster body so that they can't go into an Exceed monster that could potentially threaten my board to wipe it. That's what the Ring of Destruction is actually for. I didn't want to play Torrential Tribute because it doesn't do any burn. Ring of Destruction was perfect because it can destroy and burn. So it gave me some form of disruption as well as burn to my opponent. When using Ring of Destruction, when you see how I really utilize it in the deck, because you cannot chain Ring of Destruction or activate Ring of Destruction on an opponent's monster whose attack is more than their life points. So what I do is I always activate the Ring of Destruction first, then burn their life points down lower than the monster that I target. Then Ring of Destruction effect resolves and then they lose. But it's really simple. It's just to force my opponent into making a lot of misplays. It really does. And like I said, all I do is call my opponent's plays, and either they make the play, and if they don't, then they automatically lose. This coin toss really favors me. And like I said, the deck is just really good at going first. It really is. Go in second if your opponent has a negate. I think I do have a duel where my opponent went first, they made a negate. All I did was keep baiting out the negate and then burning them for everything else. And I consecutively kept on doing that until my opponent eventually just surrendered. Oh, that's the card we need. We're not even going to go past that. The heart and soul of the deck. Alright, we can go here. Oh, and how could I forget about this bad boy? This one makes sure that if your opponent somehow manages to survive and tries to swing, you cause them to punch themselves. That's what this one is in here for. Like I told you, an answer for just about everything. And then I only play 6 monsters in this deck. I only play 6. It's basically only 2 monsters, but I play 3 copies of each. And what that does is one of them allows me to assort the top 3 cards of my deck. When you give a player the ability to change the order of the cards on the top of his deck, you literally just empowered him to do whatever he likes. See, the thing is with when you use the other Time Lords, even though they do have burn effects, like they're more strategic to, or like, I think one is if your opponent draws, they lose 1,000. One of the attack, a monster on board. My opponent may not always have a monster on board, and yeah, I may be able to burn my opponent for 1,000, but that's only 1,000. I want to hit for big damage. So just using the one that cuts the life points in half is more than good enough, because that's like 4k of damage right off the bat. Looks like my opponent is playing UAs. Let's see. Oh wow, they have a new field stadium. Oh, let's see how far they get. But yeah, that's why I only play the 1 copy of him. Not the 1 copy, but that one specific Time Lord and the one Bagjack. Because when I assort my deck, put a trap there, let's say the next 2 cards were monsters, I can just use this effect to put the trap on the field, and then I know the very next 2 cards that I'm drawing. If it's a spell card, then I can go trap, top, spell next, then monster, and then use the spell to gain even more advantage, whether it's searching the top 3 cards of my deck again through the spell card effect, or just, you know, drawing 3 more cards from demise or something like that. Batman, it's always fun in the hood when you can call plays and there's really nothing your opponent can do about it. What's the Spike Libro and play manager? Target 1 card on the field, destroy it. Wow. Wow, this guy is going suicidal. Let's see what he targets. Oh, he targets the token. Alright, since he wants to do that, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to chain all... should we? Yes, we are. We're gonna chain all 3. 1. First, we're gonna go bad luck, because this really is bad luck for him. Because he's gonna have to take an additional 300 for every token he destroys. On top of that, we're gonna hit him with the secrets, and then to put the icing on the cake, we're gonna hit him with some dessert. That Koema, that was actually the intent. I actually played the first 3 duels of the event with the birds, and then I changed my mind. I was like, why don't I just take advantage of the event? Like, if they're gonna say, hey, it's an exceed event, why don't I just clog my opponent's field? Why don't I force my opponent to be able to only make, you know, 1 or 2 additional summons, and then just outright force them to take even more damage? Oh, that was suicide on Damien's part. I have no idea what he's doing whatsoever. Oh, this is Downcar. When this card inflicts battle damage. Oh, wow. Wow. If I take battle damage, he gets to destroy my trap. Hey, what you say, GG8? Like I said, all in one turn. All in one turn. It's lights out. Just like that. One turn. That's all it takes. All it takes. But yeah, I played the first 3 duels of the event with the birds. And yes, my opponents, they get slapped around. But then afterwards, I realized that it was taking me anywhere from like 4 to 5 turns a duel. Whereas I could have made quicker plays playing this deck than playing the birds. Because I'd have to go like extension plays and then rank up and then summon something else and then overlay and then rank up and then summon something else and then drop the ultimate falcon and then summon something else, regurgitate the arsenal falcon and then send the phantom knights rank up magic lance and then end my turn. By the time I did that, it's about a little over 3 minutes or something like that, when I can just set 5 and pass. And it only takes a couple seconds to like set 5, pass. Then my opponent has a turn, and you know, if they don't get burned outright, then I just get another turn and I either choose to set and pass. It only takes a couple of seconds, so I can win duels quicker, gain my medals, get into more duels quicker, get more wins quicker than doing it with the birds. It was just really all about grinding and trying to get to the 20k mark. I am way over that. I just aim to get like 10k a day. No, but I know what you're talking about. I think it's a suicidal deck. I think they only get like 50 medals. That is, the length of time that it takes them to get 50 medals compared to how quick I can win a duel and get 500 medals with my deck. Like, they're gonna have to play 10 duels and kill themselves that quick to get 500, whereas I only need to play 1 duel and it doesn't necessarily have to take that long, depending on my hand. And like I said, the more aggressive my opponent is, the stronger the monsters they summon, the quicker that duel ends, hands down. I'm currently playing it right now, and yes, I am loving it because I am taking advantage of the fact that my opponent cannot capitalize when I put tokens on their side of the board to make like ring plays, synchro plays, or fusion plays. That's a really good question. No. To answer that question, no. The deck will probably, I'll upload the deck tomorrow. I'll actually upload the deck tomorrow. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's crawlers. I do believe it's crawlers. If it's not crawlers, then it's something else. Before that, what's it? Oh, sorry. It's what's it called? Caluga Turbo. Yeah, that's next. Caluga Turbo. Okay, see, this is where the contemplation comes in, because this is a really good open. Seeing these two, it's always a really good open. We're just gonna set this here, and then we're gonna, like I told you, the heart and soul of the deck. These guys in GX, these guys actually annoyed me. Now I love these guys. These guys are like my faves. Like, they just come in clutch. Utopia is not bad in this event, you know. Paleos isn't bad in this event at all either. I must say, Paleos is actually good for this event. The Utopias, especially if you can make Draco can be troublesome. I mean, I ran into a player who summoned the Draco, but I got around it. I just let the Draco run into me and let him take his own 3k. It was simple. Because he can only negate monster effects and only once per turn at that. Oh. Why does it look like my opponent is playing that self-destructive deck? Wow, my opponent just went through 3 of whatever the hell that card is, a straw one, into the void. Oh, they're playing Nurse Burn. Wow, this is crazy. Hey, what do you say, B? Wow, this is crazy. Oh, my opponent is slapping me around. I draw 2 now. Wow, this is crazy. He's playing Nurse Burn, Turbo Nurse Burn. That's what this is. He is playing Turbo Nurse Burn. And trying to acquire all his burn cards then this at the same time. Wow, and I think he just may have. Wow. Oh wow, he really is trying to acquire everything he needs. Alright, now we're gonna need a miracle. Let's assort our deck, and this is what gives us a whole lot of power right here. Oh wow. If I can manage to survive. If. Oh no, I just catch my head. That actually is our saving grace. That really is. That really is. Wow. Talk about the real heart of the cards. I actually needed that card to be there. I actually needed that. Just waiting on my opponent. Alright, Safari. Yeah, B, I know. I am not allowed to play Chain Strike. Also, I'm not allowed to play Pot, or my deck would be faster, because I would usually banish my extra deck so I could keep gaining that additional advantage on top of my other draw cards. Now let's see if my opponent can burn me for the rest of my life points before I can do anything about it. He just had to get rid of his hand. He has 5 in the back row. Let's see if he can make this work. Draw. Alright. Well, we already know what we were drawing. It was irrelevant. Alright, now let's do this. We're gonna have to go Time Lord. Yes. Get on the field. Because I told you to. Let's cut those life points in half. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. He's trying for it. He really is. Oh, that's nasty. Oh, wow. Battle. Alright. Getting off. Wow, that's nasty. Oh wow. He got it. Couldn't avoid that. Even if I'd have popped the nurse, he still had the but that is bad reaction. No shame in losing to a burn. See, you only get 50 medals if you lose, so self-killing yourself didn't really make much sense. Alright, set. And the thing what I love about setting this is you can get it confused for one of these. And then you just trigger in response. Alright, that's the end of my turn. Yeah, what you mean? Invoke shadows. I'm not sure if they came up with anything else, but they probably have. I just haven't gotten to it. But for sure, shadows. What's the other archetype that's fusion? You have predator plants, gladiator beasts. Gladiator beasts are nasty. Metaphors. Lunar lights, ancient gears, all of them are good fusion archetypes. All of them. It just depends on their matchup mainly. Oh yeah, and Fluffles and Dragon Maids. Fluffles more so than Dragon Maids. Fluffles has a really easy OTK system, easy. And their monsters are really good because one of their fusions also has a non-targeting effect. Another one of their fusions, when you fuse to make it, it revives a fusion from the graveyard, and it has power up built in. Like it's crazy. But the reason why I put Ancient Gears in there is because the what's it called? The Chaos Giant monster effects aren't activated during the battle phase, so your opponent wouldn't be able to, like, I see they're using, I think Mosquito now is a battle phase hand trap monster that's called Mosquito that can end the battle phase. Then that's on top of Battle Fader and Swift Scarecrow and other stuff like that that can activate during the battle phase. Like he just turns all monster effects off. He can attack all monsters and he pierces defense. So, and he's a 4500 beat stick. Like it doesn't really get too much better than that. Me? You sure it was me? I trying to remember if I actually dueled against a Fluffle deck. I can't recall. Maybe. I don't know. If you recall getting burned to death, then most likely it was me. Oh, okay. Okay. You was meaning Xavier. Because I just was about to say I don't recall doing anything nasty to Fluffles. Unless it was like you set a monster and maybe dump a scissors in the graveyard or something like that and didn't get to go off. Okay. And the thing is, because this is an Exceed event, I can't actually link him off to trigger his effect, so... Alright, we're gonna set that. And we're gonna pass turn. Wants to seem like he's playing that Galaxy Exceed package. That deck, maybe. Or he could be playing his own personal build. Welcome back, Safari. Oh wow, that is ultimately sexy. Why is that so sexy? No, we don't want to go that. We can only do that during that, and we don't have that yet. He only has that. We're gonna go this. This and then that. Then we're gonna get slapped for 1,000. Small things. We could take a slap to the face. Oh, all right. Go ahead then, Ash. Live your best life. I mean, it still doesn't change a thing. The card that I want, I'm drawing next. That's the power of being able to assort your top 3 cards. Yes, if you're gonna build a raw deck, it is expensive. It really is. It's gonna cost you an arm, a leg, a kidney. I think we only have 1 liver, so yeah, you might have to live liverless. Alright, now we are all set up. Should be an easy win from here. Yeah, like I said, because it's an all exceed event, it's really good. I love the bonds that they put on, because like they didn't allow it to be where you could regurgitate like cheesy decks to utilize. Like Eldritch players couldn't play their Eldritch even though they could make a rank 10. They couldn't play it. I think they have it banned. You can't play Chain Strike, so you didn't have to worry about Chain Burn. You don't have to worry about a lot of other annoying things that normally in duels that you'd had to endure. Like you didn't have to worry about those long decks that go link and then exceed summon and then fusion summon and then add ritual and then do this. So you really didn't see like the Drytrons, and you didn't see what else you didn't see? You didn't see Sky Strikers. You wouldn't have to worry about what's another deck? Any deck that utilizes like link monsters to combo off like those 1-card combos to make like Boro Savage and Herald of the Arc. Like you won't have to worry about none of that. None of those shenanigans. Alright, my opponent's turn, and let's see what they do. If they treat all the other events like that, they can guarantee that they can count me in every single one. I'll just try to take advantage of what the event is in terms of like synchro. I haven't actually devised anything yet to counter synchro based decks, because I'm just gonna make a deck that's just gonna poop stain all over synchros. So I can just play that and it wouldn't matter if my opponent... Oh, wow. I just think are really good. I'm probably going to play like a similar version of this deck, but it's going to have traps to deal with synchro monsters, specifically just to keep synchros from being relative. Knowing that you have to go tuna, non-tuna. And if that tuna, non-tuna monsters aren't deep stick, you're going to have some trouble. Fusion, the fusion event is going to be crazy. That really is going to be. I think they also, because it's an exceed event, I think they also banned cards that restricted special summoning. So you are guaranteed to be able to like exceed summon, so you know that that's going to be legitimate in the synchro and the fusion. They probably are going to have the link as well. I'm not sure if they're gonna do a pendulum one, but we're just gonna have to see how that goes. They're gonna have like to see how they critique those lists. It's gonna be really interesting. Oh, that's duel. Since my opponent didn't want to summon an additional monster. We're gonna go this here. That's not all. We're gonna start with this. We're gonna drop a little bit of bad luck his way. Oh, he Moxies. Oh, wow. I'm scared. I don't understand what the Moxie for. Like, why are you Moxieing and I'm not even conducting a special summon? That's when you know you're desperate. You Moxieing off air. I'm not even going to burn him with this effect. I just want to win with over 8,000 life points. Oh, my bad. I forgot I had to take some burn damage along the way. Small price to pay for a dub and 500 medals. Like I said, I've been over the 2k medal limit long time. I'm just doing these additional duels just because. Just beating the event bad until it ends. And for you guys who have been in the stream all this time, this coin toss has got to love me every single time. And like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh is go first or die trying. That's all it is. Go first or die trying. Oh wow, what a hand, what a hand, what a hand. Alright, the heart and soul of the deck has been drawn. Like I said, it's just so easy to just set 5 and pass. And that ends my turn. Yeah, so guys, tomorrow you can look forward to an upload. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the game, sometimes it's just the heart of the cards. I cannot control my opening 5 card hand. If they just give me the hand to answer the situation, the only thing I can do is respond. All it is the deck telling me, Dabna, go there and take the dub. Take the dub and just be awesome. So I gotta do what it tells me. If the deck says, hey, I want to win, it's gonna give me what I want. If I tell the deck, hey, I'm in a situation, I need you to pull through, 9 times out of 10 I am going to get the card that I have already foreseen in my head to get me out of that situation. And it's so amazing the numerous amount of times that you can be in those types of situations where you need that one specific card and you may only be down to, let's say 2 copies of it left, or maybe just 1 copy of it left in your deck, and you draw it. Oh wow, look like we dueling against, this is literacy. Yeah, literacy, but it's how you pronounce those birds. Alright, we have to wait, because he's probably going to try to make an exceed. Like I said, put it in the extra monster zone, try to extend beyond that, probably to try to make a Draco or some kind of disruptor on the gate or something like that. Or probably see if he can go into what's it called, a Zeus or something like that. We just have to see how far he gets. If he can, he would be in a really good position to win this. That is a possibility. And if he can make the lyrical that can multi-attack and boost its attack, then he could actually let me stop over exaggerating. I would be lying if I said that just now. I'm not even gonna indulge in that bunch of foolery, because I know my opponent can hear me. I wouldn't. No, he wouldn't be able to OTK me. Don't worry about it. Oh wow, I saw this monster before, you know, unaffected by other card effects. Detach 2 for the rest of this turn, cannot be destroyed. Also, you take no battle damage involving this card. Oh, okay, he wants to go into the Zeus. No. So he would just have 1 board wipe. That's all he's gonna have, 1. And you can only have 1 Zeus. Once he's done with this, then it's gonna be a downhill battle for him. Oh yeah, I forgot about Drowned Magician. Go ahead. If he can make another one and then make the Zeus, then he'd have 2. There's the Zeus. He still only has 1, so. Oh no, he has, sorry, 2, yeah. Just waiting for his effect. He knows you have to activate it. Now this forces his effect. Not yet. Not yet. He's gonna have to show me something. Because the real trick about getting the most out of your opponent's Zeus is either they leave the Zeus as a single card so that they can board wipe you and not lose any advantage, or they play their cards, they try to gain an additional advantage, and then you put something troublesome and force them to banish their own resources. That's what you want. Always try to get them in a situation where they have to Zeus to save their life, and it's going to cost them their resources. That way you don't have to worry about votes for their resources. He saw you today pull up with the crew. What else to say, because it didn't look like you to get you uniform. Oh wow, that looked like game. 12 by 6. Yeah, that's duels. Oh boy. That's a really good card. Bird Sanctuary. I can't take all those attacks. GG. In situations like that, there is no shame in losing simply because it didn't matter what I played just now. If I summoned the Time Lord, he just could have Zeus turn, then face banish it and still did the same thing. It all depends on which ultra rares you getting, because some of them you can't even scrap. Because I got like a bunch of rank 5s and you can't scrap those. I was like, wow. But I think I'm almost done scrapping enough to get my synchro deck back on board and then make the version 2 of it. The version 2 is going to play just, I think it's just like one monster different in the extra deck. Isn't going to be that drastic. Oh wow. How many times did he get to go? I lost count. You mean to attack? Let's set that. Let's set that. Let's set that. Wow. This. Boy, I think about 5 times. 5, because I think the 5th blow killed me. And he had a 6th attack, because he had 6 units on him. All I can do is that and stay ahead. Wow, answers. Okay, let's see if we can draw it. We really need to see if we can draw it or draw him. Either or. Wow, and we didn't. And we didn't. We need the heart and soul of the deck. Where is it? Okay, we could. Wow, that's where the heart and soul of the deck is. Oh, this is hurtful. This really is. Because I was gonna get that. That's a gamble. That is a gamble. That really is. 'Cause, oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, we're actually gonna gamble on this one. This is one of the times I'm not gonna select the heart and soul of the deck. This is just one of them. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna see if we can make it. If we can actually make it one of those. Alright. Now, I sort the top 3 cards. Ah, dang, we didn't get it. But we're gonna go this, this, and then this. So I know this is coming automatically. This is going to be what I draw. And then I can swap through the other 2 behind him. Depending on what I get. So we're gonna start off with that. Light jabs, light jabs. You don't go for the knockout one shot. Light jabs. Let's set that. Oh no, only 5 attacks he got in. Oh, reasoning. Oh wow, I have to select a level. This is tricky because it's so many decks out there with so many shenanigans. We're just gonna go simplistic level 4. Anything else other than that? And what's my opponent? Oh wow, he's playing this fairy pendulum deck. What's its effect? Quick effect, target one effect, monster your opponent controls, or if you have even pendulum scales, you can target one face or sort of trap card your opponent controls, banish it. Oh. What's this? Add one face up. We have a pendulum monster, increase the scale. If you control, destroy 1 card. Wow, that's crazy. What's this pendulum scale? Your opponent cannot activate spell and trap cards. Wow. That is downright crazy. Increase the scale. No. Pendulum summon. Oh wow, she is so beautiful. What's her effect? Hold on now. Target one spell or trap. Wow. Wow, that was dirty. I didn't appreciate that whatsoever. I honestly didn't. Okay, what's my opponent trying to do here? This, that, and that. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Say bye-bye. And this. Oh wow. Ooh. I actually supposed to see if they have any newer Gaia cards. Oh. Check him out. the relevance of ease. Alright. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set that bad boy. Oh, he's my next card in the graveyard. Hey. Alright, so I'm gonna set this because I already know what the next card on top of my deck is. I know what it is. I want it not. Because I want him to go to grave, you see, so I could trigger and, you know, more shenanigans. Oh, more power. Power to the people. You're gonna set that. We're gonna set this. Then we're gonna do this and check the top 3 cards of our deck. And I told you, this is in my list of top 20 most powerful spell cards of all time. Being able to check the top 3 cards of your deck and then select whichever one you want. Huh. Alright, let's see what we're working with. I think it's 2 and 1. Alright, we'll go with this. Then when he goes, he tells me check the top 3 cards of my deck and make them whatever I want. In the order. So we're just gonna end, trigger his effect, and then kill my opponent during their draw phase. Of course, I see no reason why not. I get to sort. Oh wow, we're gonna go. Honestly, doesn't matter. Okay, we're looking at a surplus of that. What's her effect? While you have a pendulum scale, take no damage from battles. If this card is normal or special summon, target one. Oh, only for that card. Okay. Okay. My opponent can die anyway. Don't matter. Let's just clip his wings. Yeah, however you pronounce them, they are actually kind of good. That, like, they can extend. They really can. Wow, Melvin, there was no need for the hate messages. There really was. And just in case you're wondering, my next face down, once I spend all my traps, the number of card difference between me and my opponent, I get to draw that many cards. So, like I said, I just regurgitate my trap game. What's my rank? Well, there isn't no rank in the festival. And I wouldn't play this deck unless, like, I have, like, chain strikes to put in there and my pots. But I've been Platinum Tier 1 with Raid Raptors from a little while ago. In terms of the Exceed event, I completed the event in 2 days. I made sure that I averaged 10k medals a day. So in 2 days I was done. Yesterday was my 3rd day. This would be my 4th day. So far I'm almost at the halfway mark. But it seems my time is about to run up on me. I have another 12 minutes, so I'll catch one more duel. And I will be uploading the next deck request for you guys. It's Kali Yuga Turbo. Yeah. You guys who have been in the stream know that I'm not over-exaggerating when I'm saying that this coin toss must love me. Every single time, and I get to choose to go first. Oh wow, that's going to be difficult because you have Tritrons and Outledge running around. On top of that, you have Zodiac and Utopias, and they can either negate effects or do other things. Wabaku isn't even a trap card I'd even consider playing anymore. It's redundant. I'd rather just have something to just, you know, be more effective with. Because, like, just saying you take no battle damage, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Let's go. Because we don't have that. So what we're gonna do, we're going to set this, and we're gonna set this, and we're gonna pass with that. Worst case scenario, if we do get board wipe, we still can just make this play right here, and then use this, depending on how aggressive our opponent is, and then follow up with this, and that isn't even what we've drawn yet. So let's see what our opponent does. Like I said, it's not, you know, overcommitting. You don't want to overcommit and then end up, you know, being caught with your pawns down. You don't want that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Therefore, see that? Didn't I call it? Didn't I say worst case scenario? Worst case scenario. Just in case we were to get board wipe, this is what we're gonna set. My opponent still takes damage though. And like I said, it's nothing like when you call it and you're right. Now the only shining grace my opponent has is to actually kill me this turn, or I'm gonna make him regret it. See that? Now it's gonna come down to a regret for him. Alright, now either it could be a call by the grave or like an evenly matched, something to even up the odds. So we're just gonna play one simple card, just one, and we're just gonna force him to have to play more of his resources. Or it can be something to negate a monster effect or something like that. We're just gonna have to see. But this is how you simplistically play Yu-Gi-Oh! Put your opponent in a position where they have to respond. I told you, sometimes, like, once you then get to that level, when you do it, didn't I call a card to negate a monster effect? Didn't I call it? I said either call by the grave, evenly matched, or a card with an effect to negate a monster effect. Did I not call it? Since that was his face down, we have that already. So what we're gonna do, that's negated, don't worry about it. What we're gonna do is there's really no reason to overcommit. We're just gonna set that right there and pass. That's it. It shouldn't be any more than that. My monster gets his effect back, so now he's back to being a wall. Like I told you, like it isn't even like he played a card for me to be able to say, you know, before he even played the Lightning Storm. It isn't like I saw a card and then I can assess that he's probably playing these set of cards. Like, no, it's like you're in the duel. Well, it's like I'm in the duel, and it's like I can feel what my opponent, like, it's just like the energy that's coming off my opponent to be like, all right, my opponent's probably playing these set of cards. And you know what? I'm even gonna push it further and say that the game gave him these set of cards to play, and just so happens it is what it is. My opponent is not in any real position to do anything dramatic. We're just gonna set this one and pass. It really doesn't matter the system you want. If you want to duel someone, you can just request their player ID and then it's on from there. Also, you guys can also hit up Transparent Hoodie. He also does streams. He also challenges people in his chats to live duels. So if you guys want to be more interactive. Oh, wow. Wow. Heart of the Cards. I did not ask you to give me that just now. You could have given me anything else but that. Now this guy is going to think that I'm hacking the game. He honestly is going to believe that. Andy, you have to look for your player number, because I don't think R2D21, because I think it's supposed to be a bunch of numbers. That's not gonna feel good first thing in the morning. Oh, that looked like that hurt. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that. Alright, now we don't want to overcommit. So right now we're looking at the max damage we can do with a single card. So we're looking at about approximately 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We're looking at another 14 without overcommitting. So we're just going to do this right here and see what our opponent does. And then we're going to pass turn, because we do have a Warlock. So he's going to have to be able to negate that effect, bounce it back, or take control of it, or use it for like a unit or some other cost effect, or kaiju it or something. They are his only options. Now let's see what our opponent does, and then that determines what we do from there. Like I said, you just don't want to overcommit. Okay, finally, there's Rhoda, means that he's going to summon a monster. We want to see how far he can extend, and then we can also go from there in terms of when we trigger our cards. Oh wow, Photon. Now either a light attribute deck, a rank 4 deck, or he could be playing the Galaxy Eyes. Oh wow, all he did was summon it in past turn. Well, oh wow, that's irreparably nasty. Like I said, harder cards. I asked you for that first and not him. Alright, let's just do... We could do that. We can. Let's just do this and hit him for another 800. Then we're gonna set this, and then we're gonna go +3. Depending on what we get, if they're really good cards, then we can go from there. Oh, he has an Ash. Lifesaver. Alright, that saved his life. We have that, that, and that to fall back on. Alright, no pressure. Wow, Melvin, that's a lot of profiles. Melvin, you need to run Ash. Ash is just hands down one of the best generic hand traps you could ever run. Hands down. Like, there is no reason why you should not be running Ash. There's literally no reason. Wow, what that is now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. That really is crazy. Like I said, Melvin, you need to run Ash, especially against the more competitive decks. Turning off like the pot cards are essential, because like the pot cards give you so much extension in terms of like go in +2 and things of that nature. Even in fun duels, I still run Ash. Ash, Maxi, and Nibiru. Competitive or fun, I'm gonna play those cards. The reason being is because even if you're playing a fun duel, your opponent can have so many extensions in a fun deck. Like if they're playing like just generic level 4 extenders, you can find yourself on the wrong side of an OTK. All right, lovely, lovely. I love how he did that just now. That was beautiful. That really was. Let me make sure that my marks is correct. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Looking at 14, 29. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I just needed him to have an additional monster body so I could turn this duel out. Knowing that he would love to exceed summon, and you know, I know that Afterglow, when it triggers its effect, it doubles the exceed monster's attack, which is nasty. So we're just gonna not let that happen. It's okay, Nightmare. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Don't do anything. Just let it happen. Just let it do not resist. Just let it happen. It's gonna hurt even more if you fight back. Thank you. Just let it happen. Just relax and take it as it comes. I'm from the Bahamas. Alright guys, my time seems to be up. I will go to finish prepping that video to upload the Caluga Turbo for you guys. It will be up tomorrow, first thing in the AM. Basically, for the Exceed event, the only thing you really need to know is that there are a bunch of self-burning decks. You have a couple Exceed decks you're gonna run into. Lyricals, Raid Raptors, not Blackwing, sorry. What's the deck? Zodiac. You may see a Paleos here and there, but if you really want consistent results, I recommend that you take the same route I took and just go burn. You can burn really quick. It's either your opponent is gonna kill you quick or you kill your opponent, and the duel ends really quick. Let me know real quick before I end the stream. Do you guys want to see my deck recipe so you guys can just copy it, use it, get to the 20k medals so that you can have all those bonuses? Let me know real quick if you want me to show you guys the traps that I'm playing, and I will explain exactly each one of them and how they work and what they're for. Koema, I don't know if you're saying, you know, of course to them, or if you're saying of course to me, but a yes or no works really good right about now. Yes, no. Alright, it doesn't even have view. Wow. Anyway, we're just gonna go to edit deck so you guys can see, and I'll explain all of the card choices so you can understand. Badman, you got it down to science. I play 3 copies of the Blackjack. Like I said, it's like the part of Duality's effect on steroids. You actually get to rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck, and all you do is just put a trap card on top and then trigger his effect to put the trap in play, and you can activate it that turn, and then you know immediately during your draw phase that the second card you're gonna draw that. The Numeron deck you're also gonna run into, but like with this deck versus the Numeron deck, most of the time I'm not even gonna have a monster on board. So the Numerons, the most damage they're gonna be able to do is 4,000, and you're gonna be able to burn them out before they kill you. So like the Numerons, you don't have to worry about, they're not gonna go 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 and kill. No, they need to attack into a monster for that. And numerous duels that I've dueled against Numeron players, once you put the tokens on that side of the field, they're unable to hit that combo. I only have these in the extra deck because, you know, they're exceed monsters, and if I do somehow manage to get 3 of him on board, I can actually make one of them. That is why they are in here. The real exceed that you make with the 2 blackjacks are actually the utopic roots, and that's to negate an opponent's attack if they can like pierce the fence or do some kind of massive damage with their attack. That's why you actually play this guy. He's the real exceed that you make. Like I said, these are in here just because if you do manage to get 3 blackjacks, then you just make any one of them and go from there if you want. But we play 3 of him because he's like the port of duality on steroids. You get to rearrange your deck, not just check the top 3 cards, but you rearrange your deck, put the trap you want there, banish him from grave, and then put it on the field. His effect is also good for baiting out the Ash, and on top of that, he ducks skill drain. His effect ducks skill drain, so you don't have to worry if your opponent is playing skill drain. The only monster that skill drain is going to have an impact on is the Time Lord, and that's irrelevant because you only play 3 copies of him and you have 37 other cards in the deck to rely on. He ducks skill drain. He is your port of duality on steroids. He helps bait out the Ash effect so that you can use your duality effect as well as your card of demise effect. We play 3 copies of the Time Lord. Well, I play 3 copies of the Time Lord because the reason you're seeing skill drain a lot is because you have a lot of monster effects on board that are really troublesome, and skill drain just turns all those off. We play, well, I play 3 copies. Hey, what you say, Devontae? You caught the end of the stream? Just running through the deck before I depart from you all. But I play 3 copies of the Time Lord. This is to quickly burn your opponent. It's just to cut their 8,000 down to 4. Or if your opponent is playing like a life point increase in deck, like where you see they go like 10,000, you just ram him, cut it down to 5,000, and it puts it in a manageable range to just like use 2 to 3 more burn cards, and then it's duel. Then he is a wall on your opponent's turn, so it forces your opponent to have an effect to either bounce him back, negate his effect, or find some way to remove him from the field, like using a kaiju or taking him with like something like a Cyber Dragon Infinity effect. So he's an excellent wall. Your card of demise is just for you to go +3, which is ridiculous, better than Port of Greed. The only drawback is you can't special summon, but you really don't special summon in this deck. And when you do special summon in this deck, it's the Ojama Trio on your opponent's side of the field during their turn. We play the, you can also use this its effect, like to draw additional cards, like to say you want to dump him from your hand to the graveyard and set your 5 traps and still assort your deck and put the trap. So when you do use your trap, it's like having 6 traps to activate on your opponent's turn basically. Then your 3 ports, self-explanatory, one of the top 20 best spell cards of all time. Then Poison of the Old Man. The reason why I went with this is because you do take damage from some of your trap effects, and you may end up in a position where you want to burn your opponent but you don't have enough life points to survive. You can just put your life points back up by 800, or you can choose the alternate route to burn your opponent for 800, so it works vice versa. You have 3 copies of this, so you can potentially put your life points back up by 3600 and also burn your opponent for 2400 with 3 copies of this. It's also good because like if you open up with like multiple traps and you have card of demise, sometimes like you have that 6 card hand and you need to spend a card immediately. You can burn your opponent for 800 or go gain 1200, and then you can set your other 3 cards and then play the card of demise, and then gain 3 more, and then set that 2 you actually need. And if you draw into your monsters, you know that's self-explanatory, you either set or summon. And also if you like play card of demise and you draw and like you about to run out of zones, you only have 1, you know you can't do any more damage once you play this. If you draw into this, you just gain 1200 life points because you wouldn't be able to utilize the burn effect right then and there after resolving the card of demise. That's why I went with Poison of the Old Man, just in case you're wondering why. Just Desert, self-explanatory. You can place 3 tokens on the opponent's side of the board. It's an exceed event. Your opponent is going to summon 2 monsters to make an exceed summon that gives you 5. Bare minimum, you're going to have 3 when you place tokens and burn for at least 1500 every single lap. Then we play 2 Ring of Destruction. Well, I play 2 Ring of Destruction because I wanted a disruptor that's going to out a monster body, so my opponent can't set up their exceed players because they can go like Galaxy Soldier, Infinity. I wanted a disruption to be able to stop players like that, or like they'll go like 2 exceed monsters. You know they're going to make the Utopia so they can get into Draco. Before that, you can pop one of the exceeds and also burn because you want to burn your opponent. Then we play 3 copies of the Secret Barrel. This is really good. You can just let cards pile up in your opponent's hand on their field. Then your opponent has to take 200 points of damage for every card on their field and hand. The field can hold approximately 6 monsters and 6 spell and trap cards. That's including the field spell card zone, as well as up to 6 cards in the opponent's hand. You can maximize 7 if you activate it during your opponent's turn when they draw, and your opponent is going to take over 3k of damage very easy just off of one of these. I play 3 copies of the Ojama Trio. I kid you not, I've said this over and over and over again. This card is the heart and the soul of this deck. You put 3 Ojama tokens on your opponent's side of the board. You not only turn off Lightning Storm, but you also turn off cards like Evenly Match and Impermanence, so that you can summon your Time Lord Crash and don't have to worry about that Imperm in hand. On top of that, when you give them 3 Ojama tokens, let's say that they do have the Evenly Matched and they trying to out your traps by numbers. Tokens, each token count as 1 and the evenly count as 1. If you set 5 activate tokens for the Ojamas go on their board. You now have 4. When they activate or try to activate the evenly, that's going to count as 4 and it breaks even. Therefore, your back row, you don't have to banish anything from your back row. That is how powerful the Ojama Trio is in the Exceed Festival. They cannot overlay with it. If this was an Exceed, Link, Synchro or Fusion Festival, I would never in my life play no token based card. None. It's like asking your opponent to combo off and kill you. Then I play 3-dimensional wall. I heard players question the Magical Cylinder. Here's why you don't play Magical Cylinder as a burn card. It has to target. The card has to target. If it's monsters like Chaos Max, you cannot target it with card effects. Therefore, you can't use Magical Cylinder to make it take its 4k. Cards like Ultimate Falcon that are unaffected by card effects, number 1, its effect is to target and negate the effect and then inflict that as damage. You cannot negate Ultimate Falcon's effect because it's unaffected by card effects, meaning that your opponent is just going to slap you for that 3,500. Whereas with Dimensional Ward, it's a non-targeting, non-monster affecting card. It affects the players. You activate it and your opponent takes the battle damage that you would have taken. So whatever it is your opponent's doing in terms of battle damage, if you would take it, they take it instead. That's all that happens. It doesn't affect the monster. So they can run around on the board with monsters unaffected by whatever. If they decide they want to do damage, they're going to have to take that damage. That's it. Magical Cylinder has to target and it has to negate the attack. That is 2 no-nos right there in terms of Magical Cylinder versus Dimensional Wall. Dimension Wall, and because I played the TCG back when it was in its younger days and this was actually a card, I know exactly how to utilize this card to the T. And it's excellent after you slap your opponent around. Your opponent summons like a 3k and then it's usually duel because you're going to burn over 5k very easy in this deck. Then I play 3 Secret Blasts. The reason why I play 3 is it's really self-explanatory. It's just a 300 card point burn for every card your opponent controls. So your opponent, the more cards they have on board, like in the spell and trap card zones and monsters they control, they take 300 for each. And I so love this card because if your opponent board wipes, they automatically have to take 1k of damage. Very easy. So I play 3 of these. So if I set it, my opponent decides to board wipe, they have to take 1,000. So I honestly don't lose in that department, because in order for me to do more than 1k of damage with this card, my opponent's gonna have to control 4 cards. if my opponent decides to board wipe, they may not get 4 cards on board, meaning that I actually got more out of my opponent popping this card than anything else. Then I play 2 copies of Balance of Judgment. For you guys who aren't familiar with this card, what this card does is it's like walking in the Sahara Desert and you come across the Fountain of Youth. Yes, the Fountain of Youth. This card makes you immortal, immune, and just gives you resources to your heart's content. And I'll explain exactly how it works. First of all, because you're giving your opponent tokens, your opponent automatically has a +3 advantage on you. Keep in mind that when you trigger this card is going to count as 1 in the difference. The same way how evenly matched counts as 1, this card also counts as 1 on the board in terms of the card advantage. So you give your opponent 3 tokens. For every card your opponent controls on the board, the difference between the cards they control and the cards you have in total between your board and hand, you can draw that many cards. So you already gave your opponent 3 tokens. Your opponent summons 2 monsters. Your opponent then has a back row of bare minimum 1 card face down. You are looking at a surplus of at least 6 cards your opponent controls. When you activate this card at that particular moment or at that point in the duel, you are going to draw 5 cards. So it's like an instant morphing job without your opponent gaining anything. If your opponent controls even more cards than that, you're just going to draw a ton of cards, because the more cards they have in their back row, if they have another monster in their extra monster zone, you're just going to draw the additional cards, and it's going to be ridiculous. So like I said, what you do, give them the tokens, and then you play out all your traps immediately. Leave this as the only card you haven't activated, then activate it, and then draw a ton of cards to just, like I said, live your best life and continue to burn your opponent. I play 2 Bad Luck Blasts. The reason why I only play 2, because a third one, not all the time your opponent is going to summon a monster that you can use this on. So I only play 2. And it's really good at inflicting the, like I said, if your opponent is playing, the more aggressive your opponent plays with stronger monsters, the quicker they die. No lie. So I only play 2. If you play 3, you're not going to always find a situation where your opponent summons a monster you can actually use this on to capitalize, as well as sometimes in your opening hand, you don't want, like if I open up with like 2 of this in my opening hand, it kind of hurts sometimes, but I can utilize it to an extent. So imagine having a third one in hand, like you can only activate 1 once per turn, so that's another downside. Whereas with Secret Blast, you can activate all 3 of them in chain. So that's why I only play 2. You can only activate it once per turn, and usually cards with once per turn effect, if it isn't a card that you want to see or open up with, you usually only play 2. You can only activate it once per turn, and then the other requirement is your opponent has a monster face up. So that's right there is what, in order for the card to be active, is what you want or need to have happen. So if your opponent is playing like a mirror match where their Blackjack is going to be face down and their Time Lord has 0 attack, this is going to be useless. So that's why it's only at 2. And then like I said, you could use the Card of Demise effect, hold it in your hand, let the Card of Demise effect send it to the graveyard, so you don't have a dead card set on board. Then I play 2 Trap Trick. If you're playing any trap based deck, I always recommend that you play Trap Trick, because it's basically another copy of any of your trap cards. That's what it is. So if you don't open with the Heart and Soul of the deck and you open with Trap Trick, you just basically have your Heart and Soul of the deck in hand. The only downside is that you aren't able to activate any other trap effects once you go Trap Trick and use the Heart and Soul of the deck. But the Heart and Soul of the deck does protect you by having those tokens on board. Like I said, it shuts down the Lightning Storm, the Evenly Match, the Infinite Impermanence, and any other card that would require not controlling any cards on the field. And last but not least, I play 2 Gravedigger's Trap Hole. The reason why I play 2 is simply because of hand traps. You have Ash, you have, and the deck does draw a lot. This is so that when I get Ash, I can turn that Ash off, and it inflicts 2k of damage with Search My Opponent. I do have a couple of duels with this deck. I'll probably upload for you guys later so you can actually see it in action. Watch the hand drops get stomped and just watch my opponent just massively take a whole lot of damage in a single turn. But I play 2 copies of this for hand traps. It not only works against hand traps, but like in the Drytron matchup or when monster effects like Thunder Dragons, this also counters those as well. If it's banished or activated in the graveyard, it can also negate those effects and hit them for 2k. So it's not only just for hand traps. This card is versatile in terms of its usage of being able to neg the effects that activate engrave as well as banishment, but only monster effects. And it does pay dividends because one card doing 2k of damage is a lot. That is a lot. This is the real goat of the deck for your exceeds, your go-to. You just overlay your 2 blackjacks, and when your opponent declares an attack, you just neg the attack. Or you can declare an attack, and keep in mind, this is an exceed event, and his effect specifically is for exceed monsters. That is why he is in the extra deck, just in case you were wondering. But you can force out his neg effect to trigger your blackjack for additional traps by just attacking into something and then negging your own attack. And then blackjack's effect goes off to, you know, sort your deck and then set the trap you want, and then you know what your second card is you're drawing, and your third card you are going to know what it is. These are just in here just because, you know, they can be made. They're probably, you can actually take these out and use other rank 1s that you can potentially make. It's up to you. You can potentially no, you'd have to play multiple 1s or a revival effect to make like 2 utopias to go into another utopia and then make the Draco. But yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. It's simple. You guys have seen me duel it on the live stream, just how simple and effective it is. Now me calling out my opponent's cards and stuff like that, that's a GOAT type thing. You have to be on that level to be able to do that. But play this deck, I highly recommend. The only trouble, like I said, in matches that you're gonna get is if your opponent is playing something like Royal Decree, then you're gonna have to depend on your Time Lord to cut your opponent's life points in half 3 times. Remember, he returns to the deck, so you are guaranteed to get his effect again. If your opponent's playing Royal Decree, means you don't have to worry about skill drain. If they're playing Royal Decree, you don't have to worry about skill drain. So you're guaranteed to get off his effect. You cut their opponent, their life points in half to 4,000, then 2,000, and then 1,000. And then you just go hit your 2 poison of the old man, and that's duel. That's the contingency plan, but most likely your opponent is going to be playing to try to stop spell cards and monster effects, so playing a decent amount of traps is going to throw them off. Just don't overcommit. Just know what you want to do, when you want to do it, and then time your cards correctly, and you'll be fine. Slap 5 cards face down, make your opponent wonder, or just play one simplistic face down and make your opponent wonder. Make sure it's a really good face down before you end your turn, and try to avoid getting OTK. But it's really simple. You've seen it in action, you've seen how effective it is, and it does work. So yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell, guys. So y'all be easy, be safe, and until next time, later.